What's up, everybody? This is Tom Taylor with South China Morning Post, SCMP Martial Arts, joined this afternoon by a fairly fresh face in the one championship heavyweight division, Odie Delaney. Odie, you got a big fight coming up in a little over a week's time, fighting Mehdi Barghi at one championship 158 next week in Singapore. How's everything going, man?
It's going well, man. Just like I said, I'm in the grind of training camp, but excited to have that come to a close, man. Just ready to go, itching.
Yeah, it's almost fun time. Before we get into this fight with Mehdi, I wanted to look back on your debut a little bit. Obviously, an incredible debut. People are calling it a hammer lock. You're calling it an Odie lock. Mitch Chilson called it an Odie lock.
Yeah.
How satisfying was that in terms of ways to win your one championship debut?
Well, that was extremely satisfying. And we got to get it clear. It is an Odie lock, okay? Because nobody else has hit the assisted hammer lock like that in competition, not that I know of. So that's the Odie lock. It's an assisted hammer lock. Yeah, man, that felt really good. I was wondering about ring rust a little bit. It had been a while, since I had fought last, but Thomas, he gave me a nice body, threw a kick right up into my midsection, and gave me his leg. So, I mean, I took it and, that was that. I appreciate it for that.
Yeah, I guess you owe him one after that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, well, let's talk a bit about the Odie lock. You made it clear that's what it's called. Is that something you drilled before? Because it seemed like you had other options in that position. Like the rear naked choke wasn't far away. Obviously, ground and pound was readily available. Why pursue that choke? I mean, how did that happen? Or that lock, rather?
Yeah, so the thing is with that, I have done that before. I've hit that in practice a number of times. I've been doing that since my college wrestling days. Now, in wrestling, you can't, bring it up over the back. I use it as like a kind of a pinning sequence. But I've been doing that for about that position when you have the legs, you got a leg right in, and I'm over top of his hits and I'm hitting him in the head. Everyone forgets about their other arm. They just want to protect their head. So when they forget about that other arm, it's very easy to pull it out onto the back, and then you can just hit that assisted hammer lock, especially with the leg threaded. It's very easy.
Well, it was a beautiful thing to watch happen, man, and particularly on the replay when they were showing it from different angles. I mean, it looked uncomfortable from every camera angle. It was pretty incredible.
I didn't even like doing it. I mean, like I got to a certain point with it, and I was like, "Oh, dude, just tap, man," because like if this keeps going, you're gonna get hurt. So.
Right. I mean, as far as submissions go, how did that one feel? I mean, you were really bending his arm backwards there. I mean, you must have felt like you were hurting him, right?
I tell you what, man, I would have tapped before he did. Like he's tougher than I am, man. Because that thing, I mean, it was his hand was on his shoulder blade.
Yeah.
And I'm not that flexible. So yeah, that's pretty tough stuff.
Unbelievable, man. It was like a chicken wing. Let's talk about Mehdi Barghi, though. Obviously, he's the focus now. I guess first question is what do you know about this guy?
Iranian wrestler. I've studied all of his film ad nauseum. His strengths to me seem like he really does rely on his wrestling. But fair enough. He's been doing it his whole life. The thing is, I believe that I'm better at his strength. Like I'm a wrestler, and I think my wrestling is gonna outdo his wrestling. I'm not just a wrestler. I'm a grappler. I mean, I've introduced a ton of very high level jiu-jitsu into my wrestling game as well. He's a freestyle wrestler. I was an American folk style wrestler. And folk style wrestling is a little bit different in that there's a lot more ground game involved. On the feet, he's a powerful guy. He's got a strong left hand. He's got a good little left hook that he likes to throw. But I'm a lot longer and taller than he is, and I'm not going to back up scared like some of his other opponents. His other opponents kind of kept on trying to, lean back and expose their chin a little bit. That's not going to happen with me. If he wants to stand toe to toe, that's fine. No problem. So yeah, I don't think, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I was going to win it, so I think he's got problems coming up,
Well, it's clear you've studied the tape. You know a lot about this guy. Now, as you said, he is a wrestler, and I think for a lot of people, the interesting thing about this matchup will be that you're both wrestlers, and who's wrestling is better. Now, of course, you think yours is, but you do think that your jiu-jitsu is kind of going to give you the upper hand in those scenarios when the fight hits the mat?
Yeah, and here's why. I mean, even if he gets on top, he's not outside of danger. With all of his other opponents, I almost felt like he was on top. He wasn't in no danger. The thing is, I can submit you from the bottom. I can submit you from anywhere you can be on top. You can be a north-south on top. I'll submit you. I'll Ezekiel choke you. I'm confident in my the threat of my jiu-jitsu game that, you know, if he rests up there, if he takes a breath even for a second, if he does take me down, he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. He's going to have to keep a really high pace. And yeah, I think it's going to be his downfall in the long run.
Now, you said you feel fairly comfortable striking with him. You think you have the edge there too, but you are, of course, known as a wrestler, a grappler first and foremost. Being that you are a fairly, new face in one championship, how good are your hands for the people that haven't seen you, haven't watched you before? Where's your striking at compared to the rest of your game?
It's a secret.
Okay.
It's a secret. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's a scary secret, man.
Yeah, it's a secret. I mean, it's, obviously something that I've been developing over the last, few years, spending just an incredible amount of time getting that game perfected. And I'm kind of glad that I haven't had to show it yet. And if I can get through this fight and nobody knows how my striking is, I mean, that's, it kind of stinks for the fans. I think they want to see my striking, but it's good for me in the sense that nobody has any film on my striking because it's, takedown, ground and pound, exactly, over, takedown, submission, over. So yeah, I'll tell you this, I'm confident. I'm confident. And the confidence doesn't come from some hubris. It comes from a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication in the stand-up game. So yeah.
I guess in your line of work, it's probably a good thing to have, as many secrets as possible, at least in terms of competition, right?
Yeah, you don't get to keep them forever. The thing is, we're on the big stage now, the biggest stage there is. And it's not going to take very many fights before someone does stifle my takedown game and I'm going to have to, stand up. And then people will see, and then everyone will know. And there you go. So,
well, that kind of perfectly into my next question. Assuming this goes your way on next Friday, whether it's by submission or knockout or whatever, have you given any thought to what might be next for you? Who you might fight next?
A little bit, but I mean, I never look past an opponent ever. I'm going to respect I'm going to respect this guy like he's the best fighter in the world. And I trained like that. And mentally, when I go in there, I'm going to treat him like that. That's not a good thing for him. But I'm not looking past him. I have respectfully called out Naglani, but that's kind of like, I've been watching him for a long time. And that's like a fight that I just want selfishly. It's not even necessarily, maybe even the best fight for my career. I don't know. It's just, I've always wanted to fight that guy because he's just such a physical specimen. I just want to see how my athleticism stacks up to his. So, but yeah, as far as looking past too far, I don't do it.
Yeah, Elaine's a beast, man. I actually just, 15 minutes before this interview, saw an Instagram post he did where he was doing like dips on dumbbells. Did you see that?
That guy's silly, isn't he?
I mean, he's like 45 years old too. It's unbelievable.
He's 45 doing that. I've never been able to do that my entire life. When I was 20, I couldn't do that,
Me too, man. Me too. Well, you mentioned that you've been, you've studied Mehdi Barghi very, very extensively. It's clear you've given him the attention he deserves. I'm wondering, like, how much attention do you pay generally to the division you're in? Are you kind of watching these guys, watching the fights, paying attention to the other fighters in the division?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a student of martial arts, and I don't take this stuff lightly. And I'm not here to be average. I mean, I wouldn't be doing this if my goal wasn't to be the best in the division. So yeah, I pay attention to everybody. I pay attention to their mindset, their mental toughness, their technique, their interviews. I watch their interviews because I like to read people. I like to kind of get a sense of who they are. And yeah, I've paid very close attention. And yeah, I'm not the loudest guy about all this stuff, but yeah, I'm a student.
What kind of things can you learn from watching an interview? Like, for example, if somebody watches this interview back, one of your rivals, what might they learn about you?
Well, for one, my opponent knows that I'm not looking past him, and that in my training camp, I treated it as such. So you can bet he knows that I've been working very hard, and if he hasn't been working hard, he should be scared. And yeah, what I can learn from other people's interviews is you can sense fear, you can sense anxiety, you can sense when confidence isn't real. You can sense when people are just kind of almost trying to convince themselves of how ready they are. And I like to watch that sort of thing. I like to see, I like to see that. But yeah.
That's really interesting, man. I've been covering combat sports for like 15 years or something, and I've never really given that any thought, that's something you might be able to do. That's very cool. Speaking of, potential opponents in this division, and you mentioned that your goal is to be the king, to reach the mountaintop. The man on the throne right now is Arjun Bular. What do you think of him? He's a wrestler too, obviously. What are your thoughts on this guy?
Yeah, wrestler, big, powerful guy. I think a lot of people are beat before they even step into the cage with him, and that's been the problem. Mm-hmm. I think there's an intimidation factor. He's a big guy, very explosive power. When I get there, if he's still up there, which I don't know, I'm actually looking at some other names that I think are probably going to take that throne before I even get to that point. But if he's still there, that's not going to be a problem with me. I don't fear any of these people. Not at all. And I eliminate that fear in my preparation. I prepare, and I am confident that I prepare harder and longer and tougher than any of these guys. So yeah, there's not going to be that same fear. His opponents, they always fight scared. You see them. You see that they fight scared. Can't do that because you're kind of halfway beating yourself before you even get started. He's a man like everybody else. He's beatable.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a great champion, not taking anything away from him, but as you suggested, this division is sort of heating up. There's a lot of new names kind of coming in, yourself included. How do you rate the division overall right now? Out of 10, say.
Man, I mean, right now I'd say it's probably, if I'm being 100% honest, probably a 7, 8. One's new deal with Amazon. A lot of guys, because of that, are going to be wanting to get into the division. A lot of Americans. You got Almeida in there. I mean, you got me in there. That's toughening up the division quite a bit. Thicker and thicker, and I mean, it's going to just get fun. But I would put the top 5 and 1 against the top, no problem. I mean, especially at heavyweight. I mean, because heavyweights are dangerous just in and of themselves. I mean, they're just dangerous because they're big, and it doesn't take power. It takes one clip to the chin with the right timing to put your opponent to sleep. So yeah, I'd stack the top 5 against their top 5 any day of the week.
Very cool, man. Now I know you're focused on Mehdi Barghi, but assuming you're able to run this heavyweight gauntlet, make it through all these guys to the title, what would it mean for you as a competitor, as a professional, to win the title in one championship?
It would mean a lot, but maybe not in the same way as other athletes it might mean to them. I'm doing this for a little bit different reasons than my own personal glory. The reality is, athletes' names are pretty quickly forgotten, but I think that we as athletes have a responsibility to use our platforms to kind of do good in the world. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. If I ran the gauntlet, got to the championship, and had a million eyes on me, that'd give me a chance to get more media, get more interviews, and keep spreading kind of my message of peace and, anti-hatred, which I think is so needed right now. So yeah, it would mean the world to me in the sense that it would give me a better platform to do, and obviously for selfish reasons too, the money, the pride, being able to, tell my grandkids that I was a champion, that's all well and good. But I think the bigger goal here, to make an impact socially and kind of make my legacy and impact the world, in a better way.
Expanding on that, you have quite a harrowing story yourself that was very well documented in an excellent article by Damon Martin from MMA Fighting. Now we don't have to get into that, but obviously you've long story short, I guess, is that you've become a real advocate for mental health, a real champion for that cause. Just speaking of platforms, how valuable is it for you to be fighting for an organization like ONE, where so many people are watching and so many people are listening? It's
huge. It's absolutely huge because, I mean, everyone respects athletes, but there's something special about a fighter because thing getting inside of a cage than walking on into a basketball court. Not taking away anything from basketball players, but there is psychologically, there's a difference. I'm getting in there with a close to 300-pound man who's very good at hurting people, and he's trying to take my head off. Psychologically, there's something to respect there. So it's almost like you get a little bit of a door in when you want to start talking about the mental health aspect of things, because people automatically, when you're like, yeah, I'm a cage fighter, it's like they automatically, okay, you've got some sort of mental toughness about you. You've obviously have the ability to overcome some pretty tough stuff, I'll talk to you. And, that's really where it comes from. One championship, obviously, I mean, their viewership is insane. And yeah, I'm looking to take full advantage of that. There's no secret. I've always wanted to be in one, partly their viewership, the platform that I knew it would give me, but also because of their values.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the way Western martial arts is going. When I came up in martial arts, it was about honor, respect, self-defense. But now it's all offensive and hatred, and it's like that's never what it's been about. I don't think one wants to promote martial arts that way. So that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. And the platform, as you mentioned before, is going to get even bigger soon. Obviously, one has just signed this deal with Amazon Prime. Speaking, completely selfishly, how cool is it going to feel for you to be fighting, in U.S. prime time on Amazon Prime? That's going to be pretty cool.
Complete, dude. It's a dream come true. I mean, it's awesome. It's like I'm a country boy from the woods in Alaska. Growing up poor. It's like, from there to here, it's just an incredible story. I feel very blessed. I have nothing but gratitude in my heart for the places that I've been able to go and see and do. And yeah, this is cool. I'm having the time of my life, man. And yeah, that's just another bigger part of it. So it's cool.
Mm-hmm. You really do have an amazing story. My hat's off to you. I mean, it's kind of trapped under the headphones right now. But
I appreciate it.
If you haven't read the story by Damon Martin, go read it. It's on MMA Fighting. Excellent story. I know you're a busy man, Odie, so let's wrap this up. Obviously, a lot of exciting things on the horizon here for you, but it does all hinge on this fight with Mehdi Barghi next week. How do you see this one going?
I see this one going my way, obviously. And I say that from a place of just preparation. I've trained like he's the baddest man on the planet, and I'm going to come out like he is. So he has to live up to that standard to win this fight, and I don't think he can do it.
Mm-hmm. Very well said. And obviously, I know your message is very important to you. So, let me close this up, I guess, by offering you our humble viewership. Anything you want to say to your fans, your supporters, before we wrap this up?
Yeah, just in light of what has been going on this week, especially in the United States and Texas, and don't let hatred fester in your heart. That's the big message I think of this week is don't isolate yourself from people, and don't. If you have hatred, talk to people about it. Talk to responsible people about it and try to eliminate that, because it only leads to destruction and death, either your own or others. And yeah, so that message of anti-hatred is extremely important to me this week. Pay attention to your heart. Be introspective.